The morning after Iliad chose to stay, the palace felt brighter. The news of his decision spread quickly through the city. Sidetrack citizens filled the streets, celebrating the start of a new era. Flags flew from the tall black towers. Songs and laughter echoed everywhere. Queen Jera held a special ceremony in the main hall. Nobles and workers, young and old, filled the room. Skrin stood proudly at Iliad's side, helping him dress in a new robe that blended Sidetrack's armor with Earth-style cloth. It was a symbol of two worlds coming together. When Jera stepped forward, the room fell silent. She spoke in both her language and Iliad's, so everyone could understand. Today, we celebrate unity. We celebrate courage, not just the courage to fight, but to trust, to change, and to build something new. Iliad Kane, a human once brought to us as a sacrifice, is now my husband and my partner in ruling this land. Together, we will lead Sidetracks and Earth into a new age. Iliad looked out at the crowd. He saw faces that once stared at him with fear or hate now filled with respect and hope. He remembered the day he arrived, terrified and alone, and felt pride for how far he had come. As the ceremony continued, ambassadors from Earth joined by video call. They were surprised to see Iliad alive, and even more surprised to see him wearing royal Sidetrack's robes. After a tense conversation, they agreed to try peace talks between Earth and Sidetracks. Jera promised safe travel for humans, and Iliad explained the good things that could come from sharing knowledge. Weeks passed, and Iliad and Jera worked side by side. They built schools where Sidetrack's children learned human science and games, and where young humans learned about Sidetrack's history and honor. Farmers used Iliad's machines to grow more food, and engineers from both species built bridges and towers that touched the clouds. For the first time, humans and Sidetracks visited each other's cities. Together, they celebrated new holidays and traditions, some strange, some funny, but all filled with joy. Iliad's life was never boring. There were still challenges. Old ways are hard to change, and not everyone trusted the new alliance. But every day, more people saw the future could be brighter together. Iliad and Jera faced each problem as a team, their bond growing stronger with each victory and each lesson learned. On quiet nights, Iliad and Jera sat on the palace balcony, watching the stars. Jera would joke, "If I had eaten you, things would be much simpler." Iliad would laugh, knowing that sometimes the hardest path led to the greatest reward. And so, the story of Iliad Kane, the human who became a legend, was told in both worlds. He was no longer just a meal for a cannibal queen. He was a hero, a husband, and a symbol of hope for every being who dreamed of peace among the stars. Ethan Parker's day started like any other on New Geneva, the shining city floating above the blue curve of Earth. He sipped his morning coffee, read the news on his holopad, and checked the schedules for the engine room where he worked. Life was normal, quiet, and perfectly ordinary. That changed when three figures in bright silver uniforms appeared at his apartment door. "Ethan Parker?" one asked, her voice calm but her eyes sharp. Ethan blinked, startled. Yes, that's me. Is there a problem?" The tallest of the trio glanced at a glowing data slate. "You are hereby requested to come with us. By royal command." Before Ethan could argue, the woman stepped forward and handed him a shimmering badge. The seal of the Seraphal Dominion, a kingdom that ruled half the stars, was unmistakable. Ethan's heart pounded. He'd only seen the Seraphal crest in news feeds and history documentaries. "I think you have the wrong person," Ethan said, voice shaking a little. The officer shook her head. "No mistake. Please come with us. It is a matter of great urgency." Ethan barely had time to grab his jacket. In minutes, he was ushered through the city's sparkling corridors and into a sleek, official hover car. The vehicle soared above the city's domes, past floating gardens and endless rows of shining towers, heading toward the Imperial Embassy. Inside, Ethan's mind raced with wild questions. Why him? Had he done something wrong? Was he in trouble with the law? Or was this just some kind of bureaucratic mistake? The embassy was a marvel, an elegant spire of blue glass and silver vines, guarded by silent sentinels. Ethan was led inside, his footsteps echoing on polished floors, through hallways filled with strange art and golden banners. Finally, they stopped before a set of tall crystal doors. One officer pressed a palm to the scanner, and the doors slid open with a soft chime. Beyond, in a grand chamber full of light and color, stood Princess Xira herself. Ethan recognized her instantly from the broadcasts, a tall, graceful woman with star-bright eyes and silver markings on her skin. She wore a cloak of midnight blue and a crown that seemed to glow. For a moment, Ethan simply stared. Royalty was something from fairy tales, not something that appeared in your daily life. Princess Xira took a step forward, her voice gentle but desperate. "Ethan Parker, I apologize for the sudden summons, but I have nowhere else to turn." Ethan looked around, sure this was some elaborate joke, but the tension in the room felt too real. The princess's eyes pleaded with him, full of hope and fear. "I need your help," she whispered. "Without you, I will lose my crown, and my people will fall into chaos." The room was silent. Ethan, ordinary human from Earth, stood at the center of a royal crisis, his world turned upside down. Ethan could not believe what was happening. He had never met a royal before, let alone been personally summoned by one. His hands felt cold, and his heart was beating too fast. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Princess Xira noticed his confusion and offered a small, sad smile. She stepped down from the dais and came closer, her royal guards watching carefully. Even up close, her silver markings glowed softly on her skin, making her seem both magical and very real. "Ethan Parker, I know this must be strange for you," she said, her voice soft and kind. "But I am truly desperate. There is an old law in my empire made to protect the royal family from corruption and civil war. That law says I cannot keep my crown unless I marry someone from outside the Seraphil dominion." Ethan blinked, trying to process her words. "You want me to marry you?" Princess Xira nodded, her eyes full of worry. "Yes, I have searched far and wide, and you are the only one who fits the requirements. The council chose you because of your record, honest, kind, and brave in small ways. I know this is a lot to ask." Ethan almost laughed, but stopped when he saw she was serious. "But I'm just an engineer. I fix engines. I've never even left Earth orbit." She shook her head gently. "That's exactly why you're perfect. My people need someone simple and good. The law demands a union with a true outsider, someone not touched by the games of the Galactic courts." As she spoke, Ethan could feel the weight of her words. He looked around the beautiful chamber, at the guards and advisors waiting quietly, at the banners and ancient shields hanging on the walls. All these people were depending on him, someone they had never met until today. Princess Xira's hands trembled slightly as she reached out. "If you refuse, I will lose my crown at the next council meeting. Civil war will follow. My family will be forced into hiding. All I want is to keep my people safe." Ethan's mind spun with questions. Why him? Could he even trust her? Was there really no other way? Yet, as he looked into her eyes, he saw only fear and hope. He took a deep breath. "And if I say yes, what happens?" "You will become my consort," Xira said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We will marry in front of the council, and you will have a choice. You can leave after the ceremony, if you wish. I won't hold you prisoner." Ethan looked at his hands. The choice was impossible, but he saw that Princess Xira was giving him respect, even in her desperation. In that moment, the grand doors opened again. Several council members entered, their faces full of expectation and worry. Ethan realized that this was bigger than him. He held the future of an empire in his hands. Ethan sat in a quiet side room of the embassy, his head spinning. The events of the past hour felt like a strange dream. Only that morning, his biggest problem had been a broken fuel injector in the engine room. Now he faced a decision that could change the fate of an entire galactic empire. On the polished table in front of him was a glass of water, untouched. He kept glancing at it, hoping for answers, but all he saw was his own reflection. Outside the room, he heard the distant voices of the council members, full of worry and argument. Every so often, a guard would pass the frosted window, casting long shadows. Ethan thought about Princess Sira's words. He still did not understand why he had been chosen. He was no hero, just an ordinary man who tried to be kind and do his job well. The idea of marrying a princess seemed completely impossible, but he also remembered the look in her eyes, a mix of hope and fear. She had not acted proud or cold like the royals he had seen in movies. She was honest with him. She had admitted her desperation. A soft chime made him look up. The door opened quietly, and Princess Sira stepped in, her royal cloak trailing behind her. She looked tired, but she managed a gentle smile. "I hope you are comfortable," she said quietly. "I am sorry to put so much on your shoulders, Ethan." He nodded, not sure what to say. She sat across from him, folding her hands. "You must have many questions. I want you to know you are free to leave. I will not force you. But if you help me, I will do all I can to make sure you are safe and respected. You have my word." Ethan tried to smile back. "Why me? Surely there are others who could do this. Someone more important. Or someone more like you." Zira shook her head. "That is the problem. The council and the law demand an outsider, someone with no connection to power. Your record shows you are honest, and you help others without seeking reward. That is rare, even in a galaxy full of people." He listened, feeling the truth in her words. He thought about his quiet life on New Geneva, his friends, his job, his small apartment. Was he really ready to give it up for a woman he had just met and a crown he never wanted? Just then, a council member entered with a polite bow. "Princess, the assembly grows impatient. They require an answer soon." Princess Zira looked at Ethan, her expression full of hope. "You do not have to decide now, but the council will vote in 1 hour. After that, there is no going back." As the door closed, Ethan realized the truth. Whatever he chose, his life would never be the same. The weight of the galaxy rested, for now, on the shoulders of an ordinary human. Ethan sat alone in the side room, trying to calm his nerves. He still did not know what to do. Outside, the council's voices grew louder, and he could hear a deep gong echo through the embassy halls. It was the sound of the royal assembly calling for order. He felt like a man standing at the edge of a cliff, forced to jump without knowing what was below. Suddenly, the door opened. Princess Zira entered again, but this time she was not alone. A tall woman in gold armor stood beside her. She introduced herself as Commander Sira, head of the Royal Guard. "If you choose to help the princess," Commander Sira said, "you must face the galactic trials. The law requires it. These are not just tests of strength, but of character and mind." Ethan's mouth went dry. "Trials? What kind of trials?" Zira looked apologetic. "I am sorry. I did not want to frighten you. The trials are old tradition. They show the council and the people that the outsider is worthy. Many suitors have tried, but none have succeeded in recent years." Commander Sira nodded. "You will face 3 challenges. The first is the challenge of truth. You must answer questions from the council, honestly and without fear." Ethan nodded slowly. He knew he had nothing to hide, but the thought of speaking in front of so many important people made his stomach twist. "The second trial," Sira continued, "is the challenge of skill. You will be given a problem to solve. It could be anything: a puzzle, a test of quick thinking, or a technical challenge." Ethan's mind raced. He was an engineer, good with machines, but what if the problem was something he had never seen before? "And the last trial," Zira said gently, "is the challenge of heart. The council will watch how you react to a difficult situation, one that tests your compassion and courage. Ethan took a deep breath. The test sounded hard, but not impossible. He stood up, feeling the strange energy inside him. Maybe he could do this. Maybe being ordinary was exactly what was needed. "Okay," he said. "I'll try. I can't promise to pass, but I won't run away." Princess Zira looked at him with gratitude. "Thank you, Ethan. No matter what happens, you have already shown more courage than most." The royal guards led him through the grand halls to a chamber full of council members, each dressed in fine robes and wearing strange jewels. The first trial was about to begin. A council elder stood and asked, "Ethan Parker of Earth, why do you choose to stand with the princess, knowing the dangers that may follow?" Ethan took a deep breath and answered honestly, "Because I saw someone in need, and I could not turn away. I do not know what will happen, but I want to help." There was silence, then a quiet nod from the elder. The trials had begun, and Ethan realized that sometimes even the most ordinary people could stand up to the galaxy. Ethan stood in the great hall, surrounded by strangers from distant worlds. The council members looked at him with curious, judging eyes. Princess Zira watched from the side, her hands tightly folded together. Ethan felt small, but he remembered her words and tried to stand tall. The first challenge, the challenge of truth, had just finished. Ethan had answered every question honestly. He spoke about his simple life on New Geneva, about his parents who ran a small cafe, and about the time he helped a lost child find her way home. The council members whispered among themselves, surprised by his plain answers. Some even smiled. Now, it was time for the second challenge, the challenge of skill. A servant rolled a strange machine into the hall. It was old, with gears and lights and wires tangled together. The council elder announced, "You have 30 minutes to repair this ancient translator. Many have tried. None have succeeded. If you can make it work, you prove your value to the Empire." Ethan knelt beside the device. He touched the metal carefully, examining each part. He remembered old repair jobs in the engine room, how he used to fix broken tech with nothing but patience and common sense. He started working, hands moving quickly, asking for tools he needed. The council watched closely, and so did Princess Zira. One young advisor, a woman with bright green eyes, came closer. She whispered, "No one has ever come this far before. Good luck, Earthmen." Ethan smiled nervously. With only minutes left, he tried a last connection, and the machine buzzed to life, speaking a few words in 6 different galactic languages. The hall broke into applause. Even some of the strict council members looked impressed. Princess Zira's main rival, Lord Vel, did not clap. He leaned toward his allies and whispered something, his face cold and unfriendly. Ethan noticed, but did not let it distract him. Now came the third and final challenge, the challenge of heart. A guard brought in a small, frightened animal, a rare creature from Zira's homeworld. It was injured, shaking in a metal cage. The council elder said, "This animal needs help, but helping it will mean facing its fear and pain. What will you do, Ethan Parker?" Ethan knelt by the cage and spoke softly. He remembered his mother's gentle touch when animals were scared. He opened the cage and reached out his hand, letting the creature come to him. Carefully, he cleaned its wound with water from his own cup and wrapped it with cloth from his sleeve. The creature calmed and curled up in his lap. The council chamber was silent. Even Lord Vel looked surprised. At the end of the trials, several of Princess Zira's advisors gathered around Ethan. The young advisor with green eyes said, "You have earned more friends today than you know." Princess Zira smiled, her eyes shining with hope for the first time. Ethan realized he was no longer alone in this strange place. Maybe, just maybe, he had a chance. After the trials, Ethan was led to a smaller meeting room, where Princess Zira and her advisors waited for him. There was fresh fruit on the table and warm lights overhead. The princess thanked Ethan for his courage and kindness, and her advisors congratulated him for doing what many others could not. But the mood in the room was not all joyful. Commander Syrah looked troubled. She leaned close to the princess and whispered, "We must be careful. There are whispers of danger. Lord Vel is planning something. He will not accept Ethan's victory." Ethan frowned. "Who is Lord Vel, really?" Princess Syrah sighed. "He is my main rival for the crown. If I fail to marry, he becomes ruler. He hides his anger with polite words, but I fear what he might do next." Just as she finished, a young advisor hurried into the room, out of breath. "There's trouble in the East Wing," she cried. "A fire started near the engine room. We think it was sabotage." Without waiting, Ethan and Commander Syrah rushed toward the smoke-filled hallways. Guards were trying to control the fire, and people were panicking. Ethan's instincts as an engineer kicked in. He found the emergency shut-off valve, used a fire hose, and directed others to help. Together, they managed to stop the fire before it reached the embassy's power core. As the smoke cleared, Ethan found a small device hidden under a table, a detonator, built to start the fire from afar. He handed it to Commander Syrah, who examined it with a serious face. "This is advanced technology. Only someone with access and skill could plant this here," she said. Ethan looked around at the frightened faces of the staff and guards. It must have been someone inside. Someone working with Lord Vel. Princess Syrah joined them, her eyes filled with worry, but also gratitude. "You saved us, Ethan. Not just me, but everyone in this building." Commander Syrah added, "You risk your life to protect people you hardly know. That speaks louder than any trial." Ethan tried to shrug it off, but inside he felt different. He wasn't just an outsider anymore. He was part of something bigger, and people depended on him. Late that night, while everyone rested, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat near a window, looking at the stars above New Geneva. Princess Syrah came to sit beside him. "I'm sorry for all this," she said softly. "You didn't ask for any of it." Ethan looked at her, seeing not just a princess, but a person under heavy pressure. "Maybe I didn't ask for it," he said, "but I won't run away. I want to help." Syrah smiled, her eyes shining in the starlight. "Thank you, Ethan. With you by my side, I feel hope again." But even as they shared a quiet moment, danger was still close. Somewhere in the shadows of the embassy, Lord Vel and his allies were making new plans. The next morning, the embassy buzzed with tension. Guards doubled their watch, and whispers of Lord Vel's betrayal filled the halls. Princess Syrah met with her council, trying to calm their fears and plan their next move. Ethan stayed close, feeling the weight of the situation pressing on his shoulders. Later that day, as Syrah prepared for the final council meeting, Commander Syrah approached Ethan. "You have proven yourself, but danger is not over. Lord Vel will strike again. Stay alert." Ethan nodded. He tried to keep calm, but he noticed people moving strangely in the corridors, eyes darting and voices hushed. Something was wrong. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the embassy. Guards ran toward the central chamber. Ethan's heart pounded as he followed them. Princess Syrah was missing. Commander Syrah quickly organized a search. "She was last seen in the gardens," a guard reported. Ethan raced outside with Syrah and 2 others. The royal gardens, usually peaceful, felt cold and empty. A trail of broken branches led toward the old maintenance tunnels beneath the embassy. Without hesitation, Ethan led the way, using his memory of the embassy maps he'd seen. The tunnels were dark and musty, full of strange noises and shadows. They hurried, flashlights trembling in their hands. Suddenly, they heard voices ahead. Lord Vel and 2 masked allies stood in the dim light, blocking the tunnel. Syrah stood behind them, her hands tied but her eyes full of defiance. Vel sneered, "Stay back, or the princess suffers." Ethan's mind raced. He remembered a vent above their heads, an old access point he'd spotted during the fire. Without warning, he whispered a plan to Commander Syrah, who nodded. Ethan slipped away quietly while Sira and the guards distracted Vel by talking loudly and moving forward slowly. Above the tunnel, Ethan crawled through the vent, ignoring dust and fear. He reached the grate just above Sira and Vel. With a deep breath, he kicked it open, dropping onto Vel and knocking him off balance. In the chaos, Commander Sira and the guards rushed forward. Sira ducked as the guards fought Vel's men. Ethan quickly untied her hands. "Are you all right?" he whispered. She nodded, amazed. "How did you?" "No time." "Let's get out of here," Ethan said, taking her hand. Together, they ran back through the tunnel as the guards took care of Vel. They didn't stop until they were safely in the sunlight of the gardens. For a moment, Sira just stared at Ethan, breathing hard but safe. "You saved my life," she said softly. Ethan shook his head. "You would have done the same for me." Princess Sira smiled, and something changed between them. The fear faded, replaced by respect and real friendship. In that dangerous moment, they became more than allies. They became a team. As the embassy guards marched Lord Vel away, Ethan and Sira stood together, ready for whatever challenges would come next. After the rescue, the embassy was alive with news. Princess Sira's bravery was the talk of the city, but everyone also spoke of Ethan's courage. The council quickly prepared for the most important meeting yet, the vote of the crowns. This vote would decide if Sira could stay queen and if Ethan could become her royal consort. The assembly hall was grand and full. Council members from many worlds wore bright robes and strange jewels. Sira stood in the center, tall and proud, while Ethan waited by her side. Even though his heart pounded, he did his best to look calm. The High Elder raised a hand. "Let the final question be asked. Does Princess Sira meet the ancient law by choosing this outsider as her consort? We will hear from the human himself before we vote." Ethan felt every eye in the hall turn to him. He swallowed and stepped forward, trying to remember the words he had practiced. He knew this was his chance to help Sira, and maybe all her people. He spoke clearly, though his voice shook a little. "I am just one man from Earth. I never thought I would leave my home or stand in a place like this. But when I saw Princess Sira's courage, I knew I could not turn away. She wants peace for her people, not war. She wants hope, not fear. I am not special, but I am honest. I promise I will always stand by her side and help her do what is right." For a moment, the hall was silent. Then a few council members nodded. Others whispered quietly, some surprised by Ethan's simple, truthful words. Princess Sira smiled at Ethan, a look of real gratitude in her eyes. Then the council members took their seats. One by one, each ruler placed a glowing crystal in a large bowl. Blue meant yes, red meant no. The crystals began to glow as the votes were cast. When the last crystal dropped into the bowl, the High Elder lifted it up for all to see. The bowl glowed bright blue. A cheer rose from the crowd. The council had voted in Sira's favor. She would keep her crown, and Ethan would become her consort. Princess Sira turned to Ethan, her eyes shining. "Thank you, Ethan. You have saved not only me, but my entire world." As the crowd celebrated, some rulers even came to shake Ethan's hand. The young advisor with green eyes said, "You have changed many minds today, Ethan Parker. The galaxy needs people like you." But as the celebrations began, Ethan saw that not everyone was happy. In the shadows, a few of Lord Vel's old allies slipped away, their faces dark with anger. Ethan knew that, even though the vote was over, new challenges would come. But for now, hope and joy filled the hall. For the first time, Ethan felt like he truly belonged among the stars. Victory celebrations filled the embassy. Lights glowed in the gardens, and music echoed through the great halls. Princess Sira smiled as her people cheered, and Ethan felt, for the first time, that he was part of something important. He stayed close to Sira, feeling proud but still alert. He remembered the dark looks from Lord Vel's old allies. That evening, while the festivities continued, Commander Sira found Ethan and Sira in a quiet corner. Her face was tense. "There is trouble," she said softly. "Lord Vel escaped his guards. He and his followers have locked themselves in the palace's ancient halls. They plan to take control by force." Sira's smile faded, replaced by determination. "We cannot let them start a civil war," she said. Ethan nodded. "What can we do?" Commander Sira handed Ethan a small comm device. "We'll go together. You know the old halls well after your time here. Your quick thinking has saved us before." Together, Sira, Ethan, Commander Sira, and a few trusted guards hurried to the ancient section of the palace. The halls were dark, built from old stone and echoing with every footstep. They moved quietly, hearing voices ahead. Vel's men were arguing, desperate and angry. At a large iron door, the group paused. Ethan noticed a narrow service shaft he had used during the earlier fire. "We can use this," he whispered. He led the way, squeezing through the narrow passage, while the others waited for his signal. Inside, Ethan could see Vel and his followers gathered near the main control panel of the palace security system. They planned to lock everyone else out and hold the council hostage. Ethan slipped behind the machinery and, using his engineering skills, quietly disconnected the main power cable. The lights flickered and alarms blared, throwing the hall into confusion. At that moment, Sira and the guards rushed in from the main door. Commander Sira called, "Drop your weapons. The council has already chosen their ruler. You have lost." Lord Vel, furious, tried to activate a hidden blaster, but Ethan was faster. He tackled Vel, knocking the weapon aside. The other guards quickly disarmed the rest of the rebels. Sira stood tall, her voice strong and clear. "You have failed, Lord Vel. There will be no more violence. The people have chosen peace." Seeing they were outmatched and defeated, Vel and his followers surrendered. Guards escorted them away. Their plans ended for good. When the danger was over, Sira turned to Ethan, her eyes full of pride and warmth. "Once again, you have saved us all. I could not have done this without you." Ethan smiled, feeling both relief and joy. "You're not alone anymore, Sira. Not ever." As the ancient halls returned to silence, Ethan knew this final challenge had proven something. No matter how small or ordinary someone felt, one person's courage could change the course of history.